Now, Washington Mornings on the Mall. 105.9 FM. And AM 630. WMAL.
7:37 on WMAL, where Washington comes to talk. Coming up at 8:35, we're going to be joined by Brett Baer from Fox News Channel. I'm Larry O'Connor, and in for a vacationing Brian Wilson is Tori Clark.
It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the
Well, that's not a commentary on you being here, Tori.
You have a bag pack. Does that tell us anything?
Not at all.
That's a large one.
Listen, you see a video of this giant piece of rock hurtling from outer space through the Earth's atmosphere, causing, it looked like the end of the world.
And the sound is amazing.
Yeah, this is a video that you've got to see. It's up in all over the place. You'll see it. This is a meteor that hit Russia last night, causing injury to 400 people. And this coincides with the fact that a rather large asteroid, 150 feet large.
I'm now reading apartment building size.
Don't
know what size apartment building, but apartment building size.
Is passing very close to the Earth, and that brings us to our guest, Jim Green. He is the director of NASA's Planetary Science Division. Please, Mr. Green, please convince us that this is not, in fact, the end of the world.
Well, Larry, it's not a problem. It turns out what we saw in Russia was what we call fireball. These happen all the time. This happened to be in a lightly, sparsely populated area in Russia. These are typically basketball size. However, this one we believe was much larger than that. But those are too small to really detect in advance. So this one came in, exploded in the air, and popped some windows all over the place.
But it's no big deal. It happens all the time. You guys see this all the time.
We do see fireballs. Sometimes they come in over the ocean and no one sees them. But this one's completely unrelated to DA-14, which is the really big one that's passing by our Earth this afternoon.
All right, so let's talk about DA-14. Our first bone to pick with you is you guys have to understand marketing and packaging. DA-14 ain't going to do it. Can we just start calling it Godzilla Rock?
Well, unfortunately, DA-14 is, in the scientific parlance, now a well-defined name. It turns out it tells us when it was discovered. So 2012 DA-14 means that in 2012, D is in the February time frame, the 14th asteroid observed in that time frame, and so that's how we catalog them initially.
Okay, I like Godzilla Rock better.
Thank you.
So, Dr. Green, my questions are going to prove that I did not pay enough attention in school. These are really stupid questions. But you say these things, the fireballs happen all the time, and you don't seem overly concerned about this asteroid. It seems to me as though we hear about one of these things every couple of weeks now. Are there more of them happening and coming closer to us? And I happen to think 17,000 miles is pretty darn close, by the way. Or is it just that you guys are so smart now, you can detect them and you know more about them?
Well, we have gotten extremely smart and proficient about finding these. In fact, 20 years ago, we would have not seen DA-14, and it would have gone by us, and fortunately, everything would have been fine because it would have missed us. But now we're taking a look at more than 9,000 objects. About 1,000 of them we're taking a good look at. Those are called potentially hazardous, and we're mapping out their orbits, and we're seeing that there won't be any problem for many hundreds of years yet for many of those.
Well, that's good. Good news, and I'm sure you'll be reporting for us there, Dr. Green, as soon as it does occur a few hundred years from now. My bigger concern, frankly, at this point is that I've heard this thing is actually going to pass between the Earth and the orbit of some of our satellites, including some communication satellites. Is that true? And are we going to get some problems because of it?
That's exactly true. It passes between us and what we call our geosynchronous satellites. Those are the ones that stay overhead because they orbit the Earth every 24 hours. But it's not going to come anywhere near any of those satellites, and it's more than 17,000 miles away from the top of our clouds. So we're from a planetary science perspective, really excited because we're going to hit it with radar as it passes by and take a good look at it.
I love it when the NASA guys get excited.
They get all giggly.
Oh, I know.
It's really cute.
But why are you excited? What is it we're going to learn from this because it comes so close and we're able to observe it?
Well, as it speeds by at tremendous velocity, any speeding object usually gets hit by radar around here, as you know. We're going to use our telescopes at Goldstone in California to blast it with radio waves, and we're going to see it spin. We're going to get its shape. We're going to refine its orbit, and if we're lucky, we're actually going to be able to tell a lot about what its structure and surface material is all about. That's what's really neat about this one.
Okay, this is very reassuring. However, and Larry's starting to unpack the bag that he had packed here, Dr. Green. Just hypothetically speaking, and I've been reading this morning about these groups that say they're committed to protecting the Earth from asteroids. Just hypothetically speaking, if one was a wee bit closer than, say, 17,000 miles, what, if anything, could we do about it?
Well, in the realm of science, hypothetical is important.
Oh, come on, just play along.
The facts are this. As I said, we've been looking at these for quite a while, and we've been mapping out where they're going, and we're going to be safe today and safe for the next several hundred years.
All right, but again,
Okay.
just listen. Here's the problem. There's such a distrust of the government that if you knew an asteroid was coming that could actually damage the Earth, you wouldn't tell us, would you, Dr. Green?
Oh, that's not true. What happens within NASA, who has the responsibility for detecting these, is indeed once they're detected, they go through a rigorous analysis in terms of creating their trajectories and then looking at how potentially hazardous they may or may not be. If they are potentially hazardous, we do notify the government. The president is alerted, and many agencies kick in to start planning on what to do.
All right, so and I saw somebody at the Jet Propulsion Lab out in Pasadena, I think it was yesterday on the news, saying that this kind of thing, we're talking about DA-14, this kind of asteroid of this size comes this close like every 30, 40 years. Is that, in your world, is that a common occurrence?
It's not what I would call a common occurrence because, scientists want to be able to do things on a regular basis, and waiting to write their next thesis 30 years is quite a ways away. So, indeed, this is why we're so excited about this. Rather than launching a spacecraft to it, this guy's coming to us, and we're going to study it.
All right, so can we see it ourselves? We don't have all that fancy schmancy radar detection that you've got. Can we get somewhere where it's going to be a little darker out in the country and actually see something? And if so, what will we see?
Well, to have any shot at seeing it, you need to be in Australia or Asia, because that's where it passes by in the Pacific. And even then, you're going to need either a small telescope or some binoculars. So it's not even it doesn't even shine as bright as something you could see visually.
Oh, all right.
Okay, not to make light of this, but if NORAD can track Santa so well every year, I do not see why our taxpayer dollars could not help us track this one.
That's right, and we do.
All right. Well, Tori, I'll explain that to you during the break. All right. Thank you, Dr. Green.
Thank you, Dr. Green.
Listen, I really appreciate you joining us this morning, and I know that this
feel
is like,
safer.
Speaking of Santa, this is like Christmas morning for Dr. Green and all those guys at NASA, so enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Right,
You guys
congratulations.
let your hair down. Have a Miller Lite or something. All right. Thank you, Dr. Green.